to you guys about my yoga journey, why I became a yogi, but I also just wanted to infuse that with just the reality of my mindset and how it has shifted in the process of being a yoga teacher and practicing yoga on a very personal level. And so I just wanted to straight up and get into it. So, reason number one, postpartum things. So, my relationship with my body changed a lot after having my daughter. And one of the main things was breastfeeding. And so, while I believe deeply that everyone should try their very best to take the holistic right and breastfeed, it is important to acknowledge the toll it takes on the body. And so, if you are not taking care of yourself, meaning like you're not taking your supplements, you are not figuring out either a certain appropriate schedule, or if you're not figuring out ways to offset on demand breastfeeding, it's going to take a toll on your body where you feel like your body is not yours. It already kind of feels like that through pregnancy, right? I think Tamar Braxton, I'm sure she's not the first one to say it, but she kind of refers to it as invasion of the body snatchers. And it is kind of like that, not, not to be too morbid about it, but it doesn't feel like your body is something that you can control or that you can take charge of in the same way. And that's just my personal experience. And I know other women, especially as a doula, I have encountered other women who just don't feel in charge of what's happening. And I think also because the nature of pregnancy is such uncharted territory as far as how compassionately we deal with people who are pregnant, right? Like the patriarchal world and a misogynistic world at best treats it like it's something sacred. And so like maybe you get up to give the pregnant woman your seat on the train, or like maybe you say, oh, she can't lift that, she's pregnant. But like outside of that, on a very societal level, we don't deal with it with the tenderness and the delicacy and the I guess the we don't revere it. Like, I think that's the word I'm trying to, like, we don't like treat it as something sacred on a societal level. Like maybe within our communities we do, maybe there's some kind of consciousness coming out. I digress. The nature of pregnancy and postpartum body made me feel like I need to do something that is accessible to me, that puts me back in my body and that gives me back my flexibility. And so that was a major thing. So I know for the most part, I practiced prenatal yoga throughout my pregnancy, throughout the end of my pregnancy. And after that, I waited like 4 weeks. I didn't even wait the full 6 weeks, but don't do that because that's bad for you. And I started going to yoga classes. I started to obviously thank God for YouTube, because it's not really super accessible to like go to yoga classes if when you're a single mother and you don't have that much support. And so that's just the bottom line there. Maybe like Susan in the Upper East Side can like call the nanny, but I didn't really have access to that. And so there is that. The second thing that I really enjoyed was it really does actually help with joint pain, muscle aches. I had a bunch of back things happening because I spent a lot of time on demand breastfeeding. And so I'm laying on my side, and obviously laying like that all of the time on the bed and not being able to do as much movement, moving around, or always carrying a baby, that will totally fuck up your back, like, period. And so yoga again was something that really relieved a lot of that. And so a couple years after that, after giving birth, I decided to become a yoga teacher and go through the training. And I started it a little before COVID hit and like shut stuff down. And I obtained my certification as a 200 hours. I'm gonna eventually do more, because yoga is one of those things that you can't just do 200 hours and be like, all right, I know everything. Like, no, yoga it is religion. It is connected to a larger practice, and you can't treat it as something that you can digest and like kind of move on to the next thing. It is an ongoing learning thing if you plan to continue to teach. Another thing that I really loved about engaging in the yoga practice and pursuing my teaching certification was the fact that during coronavirus, the gyms are closed, baby. And yes, we're thankfully we dealt with a lot of it during the summertime, so you can maybe go out for a run. But yoga is something that is so accessible that even if you cannot pay for a mat, even if you can't, pay for the props and those things, you can still get on your floor and you can get on your on there's you can practice yoga on your bed. You can do spinal twists on your bed. There's so many ways that you can figure out how to engage the practice of yoga. And because it's so accessible, I was like, yes, this is for me. And I want to get into the more important part of yoga, I think, because I'm talking a lot about like why I joined it for physical reasons, right? Like my body was this, my, whatever, whatever, whatever. But it really helps your mental. Just the practice of holding your body upright in a mountain pose and breathing deeply can really set off such a wonderful chain reaction in the body to just calm the hell down. And the nature of breathing and feeling your body puts you in your body in such a way that you're able to really feel sensations in your body. And so when you do a stretch and you come out of the stretch, you can feel how much your body is different just in that little stretch. Um, and it's really wonderful. I'm trying to think. And then the darker side of why I chose to do and engage in a yoga practice regularly is related directly to internalized fat phobia and related directly to being a postpartum physically and not feeling super in control of what was happening, and motherhood and single motherhood. And so I had to really come to terms with the fact that I was afraid of being fat. Um, and for having a body that maybe I didn't necessarily like what it looked like. And I say that because I grew up and my family has, the people, the elders always had some type of like heart disease or, diabetes or high blood pressure, all those things. And obviously, like when you educate yourself, you learn that diabetes and all of those type of things aren't necessarily and directly related to the size of your body, right? Like I know skinny people with high blood pressure, but I obviously like I wasn't taking the time to do that work and learn things, right? And you also learn that genetic predisposition is the thing that helps to dictate what kind of bodies you have, where fat goes. Body shape is important to consider. I digress from that point. I think that the nature of seeing all these family members either be sick or not be able to engage in life in the most physically active way like it deterred me from really wanting to look different, not be skinny. And I think also the nuances and excuse me, not nuances, the intersections rather of where I stood in life, being a dark skinned woman, feeling like I wasn't necessarily conventionally attractive. I think the thing that, and also the other aspect of like maybe not being as curvy as, and it's weird, right? It's weird for those things to both exist, like not being as curvy, but also like not wanting to be overweight. But yeah, I didn't have like a big butt or like boobs or anything. And so I felt like my claim to fame was having a body that was more athletic. And I didn't really have to work for it. So it was something that I was constantly complimented on. And I never had to like do anything about it. And so again, pregnancy and motherhood is a really big eye opener. Just getting older, as your metabolism slows down, your body really does change. And I had to come to terms with the fact that my body is not something to be ashamed of, really, at all. And I should never feel like I know someone based off of just what their body looks like. and having to really think about that. And I think, again, this is why I love the practice of yoga, because all of the people that I've met that I in some aspects idolize, all of their bodies are so different, and they are strong. And so that brought me to the realization that fitness and health for me, does not come down to the size that you are, but I juxtapose my level of strength, my level of stamina. Can I keep up? How can I keep up? How can I have my body to be so strong that I can hold my own body weight? That I can hold my daughter and not feel winded, not feel and that really does come down to how you engage your practice, how you engage what you eat, and it will never completely dictate what you look like. And part of the yoga experience is learning that the practice is not about the physical only, right? It's more of that using the physical body as a gateway um, to ascend, and that's mentally, that's emotionally, that's spiritually. And so I don't know if it was a book by Osho or if it was I think it was a book by Osho and it was like Tantra. But basically, I think like he talks about ascension and like how yoga, while you can meditate and ascend and separately, yoga is like steps. And so the more you practice, the more you're able to ascend. Whereas like meditation or tantra is something that it's kind of like a jump, like you're jumping into from one to the other. It's not as gradual. If you whatever you believe is whatever you believe, but I do feel like it's a great comparison. And in regards to like fat phobia and these things, you kind of just really have to think about why you have internalized the things you have about physical appearance. And this is just about body size. But as a femme identifying as a quote unquote cis gender woman, I feel like it's my responsibility to really support everyone, no matter what they look like, no matter their size, their shape, anything like that, because we all just have to support one another, period. There's just no way around that. And in the US, the average size of a woman is 14. So the average woman or femme identifying person is a size 14. I am a size 10, 8, 10, right? Fluctuates. But the fact that the average person is plus size, but we have a whole society that pushes the idea. And it's like now it's almost like the body positivity is performative. Like it's like, oh, we're just going to include people who look different because we want to sell these products so people feel included. It's almost like, it's weird. It's like we want to be happy that we're being engaged. And I say we as in as a person of color, as a Black woman, as a person that doesn't have a typical stereotypical body and all those things. And I also want to note that I think a lot of my fat phobia came from feeling like, I call it assistant manager syndrome, where it's like you're not the leader, you don't run shit, but because you think you run something, you're gonna be an asshole about it. And I think that's how I dealt with my body shape. So it's like, maybe people don't think I'm the prettiest, maybe people don't think I'm the smartest, maybe people don't like me because I'm dark skinned, but I can control my body. And my body looks better than other people. And it's a really bitchy stance to take. It's really just a super ugly mentality to have. Like, why are you priding yourself on what you have over other people, as opposed to just priding yourself because you're happy with who you are? And again, the yoga practice brought me to self-acceptance, accepting myself where I am, and believing that I will continue to progress and appreciating my progress as it continues. I think that's the bottom line. And so I continue to still navigate fatphobia. I still continue to embrace my body as it changes and embrace others' bodies and embrace their journey too. Because there are a lot of people who are in one place right now with what they look like and how they feel about themselves, and they come to a different place. Um, and it's important to respect where people are and where they are going as well. And so that's pretty much it. I encourage everyone to explore yoga. Explore just stretching the body, explore stretching the muscles, explore ways um, to energize and invigorate your own body, because that's what you deserve. Um, and don't limit yourself, don't sell yourself short. And that's it, y'all. I will be back here to talk some more mess at some point, but I wanted to come to you guys with something authentic and real to my life journey. So peace, y'all.